Hey Riley besties, it's Anna and welcome back to my writing channel. I am so excited for this video. Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 10 mistakes that amateur writers or beginner writers make, and I'm going to be telling you guys like how to fix them and just like look out for them if you are a beginner writer. These are things that I've done as a beginner writer, and I think that these will be like an instant help for you to improve your writing. So let's go ahead and go into the video, but before we do, definitely subscribe to my channel because it does really help, and also check out my Instagram page because I post so much on there and I've been posting so much on there during the new year, so definitely check out my Instagram page. However, yes, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's go ahead and get on to the things amateur writers do, which are mistakes. So let's go. So the first mistake that amateur writers make is not plotting properly and not having a strong foundation and knowledge of their book before they start writing. I think this is something that a lot of writers sort of get to because we're all so excited to start our projects, right? And the idea of plotting it all out kind of spoils the fun. But I really encourage amateur writers and just like people who have just like kind of started to come to writing is to make sure that they have a good plot plan and actually understand all the plot beats of their book. Of course, it depends on how well you are of a pantser. I'm gonna get into that also in the in a few seconds, but yeah, it depends on if you want to kind of go into a lot of detail with your plot plan or maybe not. If you want to go into scenes or if you want to just go into chapters, I probably would recommend chapters since it is kind of like in between. It's not just like the acts, it's not just like the plot beats, it's the chapters, and it helps you get organized and everything. So yeah, that's a mistake that a lot of people make, not having a good plan or even like idea and like a full-on, you know, understanding of what is going on in your book, at least like the act structure before they actually start writing. So yes, make sure you have a good plan before you start. The second thing I was going to talk about, of course I said, is knowing the difference between a plotting, like being a plotter and being a pantser. People don't really understand what they mean, and I think new writers sort of think that they need to fit into one or the other and kind of choose, oh, I'm a plotter, or like, oh, I'm just naturally a pantser, when really you can like be both. You can also diverge and like become one and then maybe go on a journey and become another. Like I was a pantser when I started writing and I thought I'd always be a pantser, so I would limit myself and just say like, I can never plot because I just can't, because it's hard. But like, no, it's training. Like you can choose if you want to become a plotter or a pantser, and that's something I learned. And yeah, just like you got to know that you don't have to fit into one of each, and it looks different for different people. The way that I plan, you've probably seen a lot of my plotting videos, but I pants the zero draft through plotting. So it's like planning, plotting, pantsing. It's really a lot more complicated than just being a plotter and a pantser. So make sure you don't get confused and make sure you don't limit yourself. The third thing new writers do is box themselves in like a particular genre sort of thing. And this is kind of dangerous because even if you're starting a project and you're like, oh, this has got to be just romance, or just saying like, oh, you know, I think I only read fantasy books, so I must have to write them, or you know, this sort of genre is doing very popular now, I should be writing that so I can publish. No, no honey, no. Basically, I want you guys to write what you want to write. Do you hear me? Write what you want to write. I think it's so important to not box yourself in and say like, oh, you know, I'm only going to be this sort of plotter, or like, oh, I'm only going to write this sort of book, blah blah blah. It really does depend on the project, it does depend on the idea, it does depend on your skill and where you are with writing and what you want to write. You know, for me, I read fantasy, like that's all I read, and I hate romance. I hate contemporary romance, yet last year I wrote a contemporary romance. Like, do you see like, even if you hate something, you might love it. Like, you always just need to be sort of objective to that fact that as a new writer, you know, just write what you want to write. Imagination and creativity, it's not linear, so don't stress yourself out, just write what you want to write. Okay, this one is a very big one. I think this is number 4, and that is that young, you know, new writers start off with huge projects. They start off with like huge, big fantasy books that are like gonna be a five book series. Like, no. If I went back and I was, you know, talking to my younger self as a writer, I would just tell her to write novellas, write short stories. Start off with something small. I think this is very much because you don't have a lot of skill as a new writer and a lot of like experience and stamina. You basically, I know I don't have it either right now because I'm also kind of a new writer, but you don't have the stamina to finish a huge book. It's a 100k book and you're thinking, oh, it's gonna be really long, or even if you're writing it, you're like, oh, this is longer than I thought. You're gonna get burnt out, okay? I assure you, you're gonna get burnt out with that project, especially if you're pantsering it, especially if you don't understand, if you're confused, or like you're just lost interest. Oh my gosh, stop right now. Just write short stories when you start out, just write novella. Write shorter, simpler stories. Even if it's simple, it doesn't mean it's bad. Just write something that is easy so you can have that confidence, you can build your skill throughout that book and that project. So start off with novellas. And if you guys don't know what novella is, it's basically a shorter book. It's like a, that's what I like describe. It's this thick to people who's like, what do you write? I'm like, I write novellas. Now I love novellas. Novellas is my sweet spot, where it's like a short story but also a novel. So novellas. Start with that. The fifth thing is that new writers are like, should I write first person? Should I write third person? Like, what? Which should I write? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Don't stress about it. Don't stress about like whatever comes natural. Make sure it's all natural. Writing, you don't have to think too much about it when you start. It will come naturally to you. So when you are stressing about like, oh, would the book, you know, be better if I told it in first person or third person or even second person, I don't know, don't think about it. Just like write the first chapter and it will come naturally to you. So don't think too much about it. With a lot of things, but this is just like one thing, a lot of things as a writer, as a creative person, comes naturally. It really just depends on the project, depends on what you're comfortable with. For example, if you read a lot of first person books, you know, that could be more comfortable and more knowledgeable to you, so write first person. But it depends on what you like. So yeah, keep that in mind. Oh my gosh, number six, dialogue. New writers don't understand. I mean, me too. No, I actually am very proud of my dialogue. I love writing dialogue so much. I think young new writers don't really understand the importance of dialogue and the importance of realistic, powerful, and relevant dialogue. Is you can literally fill a page with dialogue, and that's amazing. Like, try to do that. Try to use dialogue. A lot of people don't think that you can reveal things with dialogue, but you can reveal so much about a character, so much about a plot beat, so much about, you know, a secret or like a foreshadowing something. Like, you can reveal so much about your story through dialogue, through what the characters say. And for example, look at Shakespeare. There's no like normal writing, it's just dialogue. It's just what the characters are saying, and how good are his stories. Dialogue, it's important. Number 7 is you guys seem to love characters. I made this mistake very much in my young writing days, where I would write and there will be 5 main characters, 6 main characters, and I will love it and it will be so fun, but I get so overwhelmed. The story will go in so many different ways, and then I'll try to do multiple POVs. It was a mess. Don't have too many main characters and characters in general. Have at least 3. Honestly, as a new writer, I think, and then you're starting newer projects, don't make the mistake of creating so many characters you can't like keep track of them. It makes your story not as powerful as it can be, because you're focusing on too many things at once. The audience is going to be confused. The audience is going to be like, who's that? What's his name? What's going on here? Is there a love triangle? I don't know. Like, focus on small characters, not small characters, but like big characters, but a low quantity. So yeah, don't make the mistake of too many characters. Number 8 is also kind of similar, but that is a lot of new writers don't actually understand character development. When you are developing a story, you need to make sure that you focus on the characters and the plot. Of course, they're the main things that make up a story, but of course characters can reveal the plot. I've said this in a lot of my videos, a lot of my character videos. If you haven't seen them, how to develop like the perfect characters, that video is really good. But I talk about literally character development is so important. Your character needs to change. A lot of amateur writers kind of just like have a main character who's good, strong, you know, the nice funny character, but they don't change. They don't actually become bad, or they don't actually learn something, or they don't actually change, right? You need to make sure your characters change, and through the plot they can change, and through them the plot can change as well. It's like an exchange. The characters change, the plot changes. It's all like that. But look at my other videos if you guys need help. So yeah, characters, make sure they change. Number 9 is kind of a given, and that is that a lot of young writers like me spend way too much time on world building. This kind of goes back to the tip about not tackling huge projects and huge fantasy worlds as a young writer. Of course, you can definitely do it if you're feeling confident and have a really good idea of what your project is, but having a big world, having a big project with world building, with character building, that's gonna eat up a lot of your time. And though it is very beneficial to you, the actual act of writing, not just planning, writing is gonna improve your skill. So don't focus on world building. Make sure you really just hone in and see like, okay, I've planned it as much as I can. Don't like get anxiety and like don't be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what that happens. There's a plot twist there. I mean a plot point. I mean a plot what's it called? A plot hole. There's a plot hole there. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Don't stress. Like it will come together. And I think that people just spend too much time planning, overall plotting, world building, that they never have time to write, and then when they get to it, they're burnt out and bored of the project and hate it. So don't make the same mistake I did. Don't. Number 10, the final little mistake that amateurs make. I kind of didn't like that title, mistakes, because it's not really mistakes, it's more like learning curves. But the 10th one is that young writers kind of scrap projects easily and scrap projects when they get bored or they think that the ideas aren't good enough. I have actually done a podcast episode, if you guys want to check it out, up there, I don't know, a podcast episode about how to have confidence in your book idea. So make sure that when you are feeling doubt, you feel like, oh, I've been working on this for so long, I don't see any progress, I don't think people will like it. Have faith in your work. Young writers, new writers, never have enough faith in their work, and I really encourage you guys to have faith in your work. You'll get there, you'll write the book, just stick with it. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. I really am so excited. If you are a new writer, welcome to my humble abode, this channel. I hope you subscribe and also check out my Instagram page and also my podcast. I have a podcast, lots of good materials for you guys on this channel, so I really hope you guys enjoy them. Happy 2023. I hope you guys have a great writing year, and yeah, I wish you guys luck. Bye guys.